Hi, and welcome back to the Awaken Your Wise Woman podcast. I'm your host, Biz Cush, and we have a fabulous episode today. But before I jump into my conversation with Laurie James about somatic healing and somatic experiencing, I just wanted to let you know the Circle of Sacred Sensitivity is accepting new members. And so, if you have been looking for and longing for a community of highly sensitive women, women who align with you, your soul, your heart, this is the place. We meet monthly, but with that monthly meeting, you also get the resources within the circle. So there are meditations, there are energy practices, there are chat rooms to get and give, receive, get and receive support, give and receive support. That's what I'm trying to say. There are um, just places to share something funny, something that touched you. So, if this sounds like something you would be interested in, join one of our monthly meetups. You can just join those without the membership. We meet on the third Thursday, typically, of every month from 12 p.m. Eastern Time to 1:15 Eastern Time. So, check your calendars, mark it off, join the next meeting, and see if the Circle of Sacred Sensitivity membership is right for you. All right, on to the interview. Laurie James is a somatic practitioner, and we have a really beautiful, beautiful conversation around what somatic healing means and how it can help you really truly heal from the inside out. It was really beautiful to talk to her and get to know her. So I know you're going to enjoy this interview and this conversation. So let's get started. Hi, Laurie, and welcome to the Awaken Your Wise Woman podcast.
Hi, Biz. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Oh, I'm excited too. Very excited. And probably some of our listeners may not be familiar with who you are. So could you share a little bit about yourself?
Sure, of course. I am first and foremost a mother of four beautiful adult daughters.
Mm,
I'm also a divorcee, and I oversaw the care of my elderly parents for 14 and a half years. Both of my parents have passed. And I wrote a book titled Sandwiched, a memoir of holding on and letting go that was published about 4 years ago. And that really chronicled my life, an 8 year period of time in my life when I was raising my four daughters. My mother fell ill, and then my marriage began to fall apart. And it's about all the things about the sandwich generation. It's about healing. It's about the sandwich generation. It's about marriage. It's about family. I'm also adopted. So there's
mm,
a story of that. It's about caregiving and all the crazy caregivers that I went through. But
oh my
really, it's
gosh.
my story of feeling alone for most of my life to finding belonging. And
Wow.
at the, yeah. And, when you're in your 40s and you still don't feel like you belong, that was, it took me many, many years to find that. And who do we really belong to but ourselves? Whoever we are, the more that we can honor who we are and what our needs are, whether that's that you're highly sensitive or whatever it is, that's when we feel like we can belong because then we can ask for what we need, right? And we're not people
Yes.
pleasing to get that love, or
Yeah.
trying to adapt to fit in, which is what I did a lot of growing up. And at the end of my story, or at the end of my book, I actually fell very ill. I was
Mm,
in the hospital twice. I was passing out I had severe back pain. I was in the hospital 4 days the first time, and then 2 weeks later, I ended up in the hospital again. They could not figure out what was wrong with me.
Mm,
And 2 weeks prior to me falling into the hospital, not I shouldn't say falling, from me being submitted to the hospital, I was talking to a friend and said, I'm stressed even though everything was good in my life. And this all happened about a year and a half after I left my marriage, which was also a very
mm,
difficult thing to do.
sure.
But the end of the day, I had taken on too much and I had gone through a lot.
Hmm.
My ex-husband was not for, he was not emotionally available for me. He did not have that
Capacity.
capacity
Yeah.
because of his own childhood.
Hmm.
And so I was doing a lot of it on my own. And the other key thing that I think may have helped me to not for my body not to shut down
Hmm.
is I wasn't in therapy at the time and I wasn't working with a coach. So looking back on that, that was my biggest, I think one of my biggest mistakes through that time.
Mm,
But that the beautiful thing that came out of that is that I found a somatic practitioner and that healing process that I went through over that next year, once I was well enough to actually get to the doctor, because that took a couple of months for me to
yeah.
become well enough.
Mm,
That healing that happened within that first year was really profound and life-changing for me.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I had been in talk therapy for 5.5 years with my ex-husband, some part of that on my own. But the body-based healing,
Hmm.
tapping into what I was experiencing in my body was life-changing.
Yeah.
And because it was so profound, that's why I ended up also getting certified in somatic experiencing, which is a 2.5, 3 year training program. It's not a
Yeah.
weekend here or there kind of thing. It's pretty
No, it's
intense.
pretty serious and intense. No, I have some colleagues who have been through it and have
Yeah.
I've heard lots of good things, but the intensity of the training is, yeah, really gets you working on your own stuff too, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, it's interesting what you shared that like things felt pretty good, and that's when your body began showing symptoms, reactions. And I've
Yeah.
heard that before. Like, I think, potentially when things are not great, we're just getting through, we're surviving, and we're probably disconnecting from the symptoms we might be experiencing because we
Completely.
have to just get through it, right?
Right. Well, and from a somatic place, your nervous system is in a threat response, right? So it is in
Right.
survival mode. And so
Right.
it will override and shut down other things that we're feeling to get through whatever it is that we're getting through, and so here's the really interesting thing on that point.
Mm,
So my divorce papers came back from the court on a Tuesday.
mm-hmm.
I closed escrow on a house that I bought on Wednesday,
Mm.
and Friday was when I landed in the hospital.
Wow. 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 Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like
So,
I'm feeling safe. Oh, here comes the tidal wave.
yep. And all of that, survival, all the bracing, all um the go, 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 do, do, do. And after I left my marriage, I also said yes to too many things.
Hmm.
And I overrode. So I was writing my book. I was starting to coach. I started to date. I was the one that moved out.
Mm.
So, and in the top five biggest stressors we can experience is divorce.
Yep.
And in the top five is also moving.
Yeah. 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 Totally can
So,
relate to that. Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, And I would imagine that I mean, having not really understood, well, I don't know that you didn't understand, but to f suddenly feel like here I am in a place that is settled, for
Hmm.
lack of a better answer, right? But now I'm in the hospital. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
How is
Yeah.
that possible?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I don't know that I necessarily had that thought in that moment, right?
You're probably just
But
trying to get through being in the hospital, right? Yes, yes,
exactly. And to
yeah.
get out of the hospital because I was
Right.
also somebody who didn't I don't take medication. I mean, I take some supplements
Mhm.
here and there, but I feel very lucky that I don't have any health ailments. And so they were chasing my symptoms. So they gave me
Mm,
some a medication stronger than morphine, which then caused my oxygen levels to go down, which caused my blood pressure to go down. I was also severely anemic. So they were chasing my symptoms and
right.
continuing to give me more medication.
Yep.
And that first time I was like, get me out of this hospital before you kill me with these drugs. My body was not used to all of those drugs.
Sure.
So
Sure.
that was also something else, which I don't know if I was really ready to leave the hospital because I was still severe in a lot of pain and I left with a walker and I was
Mm,
retaining so much water in
mhm.
my body. It looked like I was 6 months pregnant too.
Wow. Oh my
Um,
gosh. Oh my
but
gosh.
uh but yeah, and we know from in the somatic world when you take on too much, your body is going to shut down. When your nervous system goes into overwhelm, it moves up
Hmm.
into what we call the dorsal vagal and state, and your body shut down. And that's what my body did. My body said, Uncle, I
Yeah,
think this is enough already. Have you not
absolutely.
been through enough? Just
Are
slow
you not
down.
listening to me?
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Well,
exactly.
yeah. Well, and interestingly, talking about overwhelm, I know for often highly sensitive people, but highly sensitive women experience overwhelm often if they're not taking care of their nervous systems
Yeah,
because we are so sensory sensitive
yeah,
that if we've been told you're too sensitive, you shouldn't be so bothered by this. Why, why do you feel so much? Why are you so, reactive? We can easily get disconnected from our own bodies, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
that sense of overwhelm, just pushing through it because there's this feeling of like, I should be able to handle this.
yeah. Well, and because our society and other people are telling us we should. And here's the thing. Everybody is different. Every
Mm-hmm.
nervous system is different based off of who you are, your lineage, your culture, how you were raised, the trauma that you experienced.
100%.
And so this is what I learned through that, the more that we can truly honor who we are as individuals
Mm-hmm.
and not go by the guide of society or our family and what they think we should be doing or not doing,
Yeah.
the more we can honor that, then we can then show up as just our authentic selves, sensitive,
Mm-hmm.
loving, empathetic,
Yes.
and just show up as who we are. And also when we can do that, I feel like that's when we can give our gifts to the world.
Oh my gosh, so much. Yes, because if we're, yeah, showing up authentically and taking care of ourselves in the process, yeah, we have so much to give, right? There's so much we can uh, show to the world, or offer to the world, and
Yeah.
to our closest people too.
Yeah. And one thing I would love to add from a nervous system standpoint for your listeners to understand is and this was really shocking to me when I learned this in my training.
Mm,
The newest part of our nervous system is our vagus nerve, and
yes.
that is 200 million years old,
Oh, that's wild. Yeah, I did not know that.
right?
Yeah.
So, and think about how fast our society and our world is changing with technology and information being thrown at us and marketing and
Mm.
everything. It's sensory overload,
Oh my gosh, that is for sure. Yes,
right? And
yes.
and and it has not caught up, which I think my personal opinion is why we have s- such a mental part of why our mental
Mhm.
health is at risk right now. So many people are struggling with mental health right now,
Sure, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
right? It
yeah.
we need to give our nervous system, our bodies, our brains that break, those pauses
Mm,
throughout the day so that way we can regulate our nervous system and have it come up into activation and down into rest and digest and up into activation. That's how our nervous system is meant to function,
absolutely.
not
Yeah.
go, 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 do, 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 and then collapse at the end of the day,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
which I
and
still find myself guilty of some days, right?
oh, I'm there with you for sure. I'm better at it today
Yes.
than I have been in my life, but yes, there are times where it just feels like the switch is on and I'm like the little Energizer bunny just going, going, going.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that can
Um,
get addicting too.
oh,
You know, the
for sure.
adrenaline of that we can get addicted to. I know I did for years.
Well, and societally, it's kind of what we're fed that should be how we operate. I mean, especially I think both for men and women, really,
Hmm.
that we should always be doing and checking off our to-do lists and,
Yep.
just producing all the time.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I feel as if with social media, and which I think there's some beautiful things in terms of awareness around mental health and body-based wellness and all of that. I think there's some goodness that there's more common knowledge around it. But I also think that sort of in my world anyway, the words like somatic practices have also almost become just a thing people say, but don't
Yes.
fully understand what that means. So I'm wondering if you could kind of share, yeah, what is the,
Yeah.
how do you help your clients, but also what is somatic experience and
Yeah.
what are we doing when we're doing that?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing up that question because I feel the same way. And after going through the extensive training I've gone to, it's like, okay, that you're just putting that word in there. Like you're just adding it because it's a buzzword right now.
Yeah.
So, simply defined, somatic is derived from the Greek word soma meaning body.
Hmm.
So, somatic experiencing is something that Peter Levine created. He's a PhD, he's in his 80s, and he has been studying this for 50, 60 years. He's so incredible. And so basically, it is body experiencing what is happening in our body
Hmm.
because 80% of our sensory information travels from our body up to our brain. Only 20% travels from our brain down to our body. So the more that we can really connect with our body is when we can become more attuned to what our needs are. And so that way we can function better in the world. And in my view, there's two pieces to that. One piece is what we were just talking about is daily nervous system regulation, taking
Hmm.
pauses throughout the day, checking in with our bodies. Sensations are the language of the nervous system. So the more we can connect with the sensations and allow them to complete that fight, flight, or freeze response that we are in the moment, then we can come down into our parasympathetic rest and digest and move throughout the day up and down, kind of like a roller coaster. You're coming
Mhm.
up into activation, down. You wake up in the morning, you have your coffee, you walk your dog, you go work out. Maybe you come down and just take 5 minutes to sit in the chair and rest and connect with your body. Doesn't have to be long. And then you go in the shower, you go to work, and then at lunch you take a little rest, and you're not eating while working,
Yeah,
which again, I'm sometimes guilty of on certain days. You
sure.
stop and you walk your dog, you smell the roses, you stop to take in your five senses
Mm.
on your walk. It's some of these very simple things. So that's one piece is the daily nervous system regulation.
Mhm.
And then when you are working with a somatic practitioner, somebody trained in a body-based healing modality, they can go deeper to maybe heal some of the trauma that might still be stuck in your body.
Right.
So I was adopted at birth. So I have
Mm.
birth trauma.
Sure.
I unfortunately endured physical, emotional, and sexual abuse from one of my adopted brothers. So
Mm.
I really had to work through that. And I didn't even know I needed to work through that until my 40s.
Sure.
And then because of some of that trauma that I experienced in childhood, I entered into a marriage that was also unhealthy, very controlling, very
Mm.
manipulative.
Yeah.
And I understand he had his own trauma that was showing up.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of, again, control, manipulation, emotional
Yeah.
control. And so I had to work through that as well.
Sure.
And my tendencies from an attachment standpoint are very anxious. So leaving a relationship was not easy at that time, right?
Oh
Because
my gosh, right.
I,
That felt like the end of the world, probably.
yes, like I literally thought I was going to die if I didn't attach, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Mm.
what happens in the somatic, like, so we can, as a somatic practitioner, then go in and touch, we just start very slowly and touch in and help people process in
Hmm.
small, tolerable ways to heal some of that deeper past trauma that may be still dictating and controlling your choices in the present. Because our
Yeah.
nervous system doesn't always know past from present. It just
Right.
knows this feels familiar. This feels similar to something I experienced in the past. So, and this is how I survived and was able
Yep.
to receive love and to make sure that I was still fed and I had a roof over my head.
Exactly.
But we have to bring awareness to those adaptations don't necessarily work well in our adult relationships.
Right, right, right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you are speaking my language.
Yeah.
Yeah, I um
So there's a lot there.
there is a lot there, but I guess what I just wanted to affirm for the listeners is that there is so much wisdom in our bodies,
Yeah.
and that with the often it takes sort of assistance from someone who is trained to do the work gently,
Yeah.
slowly,
Yeah.
you know, moderating it in a way that your nervous system can tolerate it and
Yeah.
move through.
And somebody who is trained to watch for what's happening in the body
Right.
So they know when somebody might be getting overwhelmed and can bring them out safely from what they might be
Mm,
experiencing internally.
yeah.
That's a real key too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that feels really important. Yeah. Because often I'm sure you're trained to see some of the physical symptoms or yeah, the sensations that are happening through whatever their bodies are showing you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
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 And when the body is then coming into more of a rest and digest state too,
Hmm.
that's softening of the shoulders, a natural breath,
Right.
a softening of the belly, maybe a relaxing of the jaw,
Yeah.
or is somebody, I don't know if this is just all audio or video, but I'm holding my shoulders up to my ears, like, a lot of
Yes.
people you see walking around with their shoulders up by their ears, because they hold all that tension. I mean, that's how we hold our trauma, and we're bracing.
Yeah.
We're bracing for the next thing to happen.
For sure. Well, it's interesting. I haven't worked with a somatic experiencing practitioner or therapist, but for mm, part of my healing work was working with a movement therapist who
Yeah.
we did authentic movement, which is basically trusting your body to move in the
Yeah.
ways that it wants to while being witnessed by, doing it in a group, but being witnessed by the practitioner.
Yeah.
And I mean, I couldn't tell you what got released, but I mean, I used to always have lower back issues, always like
Hmm.
that. I just knew if I wasn't careful, something would twinge it and I would be miserable, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I was able to, I rarely, knock wood, get that sensation anymore, right? It's like things were released that I couldn't even name, but I
Yeah.
knew that it was happening. I mean, I
Well,
could feel it. Yeah.
yeah, movement is also a big part of somatic work as well.
Hmm.
Anytime that we can move, I mean, even if it's simply walking,
Mm.
dancing, that moves the energy and helps to complete, especially if you're in a flight response or a freeze response.
Yes.
When you get stuck in a flight response off, and let's just give an example of, um, I was trying to get away and I couldn't,
Hmm.
right? Your body can get stuck. That energy stays stuck. So moving,
Hmm.
whether it's dance or walking or even running in place, inhibits the response that didn't get completed back then, and you can complete it in the present moment. So
Mm.
that's how movement, an example of how movement really can work so beautifully
Yeah.
in in the somatic healing process.
Yeah. Well, I think
And
about,
then stopping and noticing what were the sensations prior to doing this movement, and then noticing the sensations in my body after.
yeah. Yeah. Um, I was just thinking for women in particular, so many women have experienced some form of sexual trauma in their lives, like that to be able to, as you said, sort of complete the
Yeah.
physical response to just almost reclaim ownership of our
Yeah.
bodies. Yeah, yeah,
Completely reclaim that agency. And
yes.
that's something that it's funny that you say that, because um, I was, I've been divorced for 6.5 years. I left my marriage 8 years ago. And
Hmm.
I was in a relationship for about 3.5 years that ended at the beginning in March of 2025.
Okay.
And so some of my my loneliness, my lack of
Mhm.
belonging was resurfacing and some of my abandonment issues. And so I was working with my somatic practitioner as some of these things were emerging over this past year.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we worked on was we went back into my abuse,
Mm.
right? And we were working with movement. We were
Mm.
working with voice because I was silenced.
Sure.
So both of those things, and I was pushing against her, and there's so much energy that we hold in our legs, and really, pushing off and pushing into the ground and running in place and
Mm.
being able to get away because I felt so trapped in that situation.
Of
And so many
course.
women do feel trapped when they're in that situation. So to to be able to show the body that and to complete that response in the present. And that's the beautiful thing is you don't have to talk about it. You don't have to relive it,
Hmm. Hmm. Yes.
right? You just
Right.
have to complete what didn't get completed
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah. 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 That's beautiful. I know I've seen I think I took a training early on. I went back to school in my 50s and became a therapist. I was licensed when I was 53, but I can remember, doing a lot of virtual trainings because I was working at a job where I'd only see a couple clients in my internship, but
Mhm.
I had a lot of time. And watching a video of Peter Levine back in the day working with a soldier who I think had been in an explosion, and just
Mhm.
just watching him help this guy move through the completion of, and it was really
Yeah, I'm
amazing.
getting chills as you're telling me
It
this.
was
Like,
amazing. It was amazing. Yes,
was
yes,
this the
yes.
guy that he had a nervousness to him and almost
It could be, yeah, that there
like
was
a
like, it was a long time ago that I watched it, but
tick?
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, I think that's right. And
Yes.
so that he was
Because
having him move his arm,
mm-hmm.
and it had to do with almost like deafness or sound in his head too, I think. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah,
He
really
Peter Levine, I mean, watching you anybody who's listening, you can watch his videos on YouTube.
yeah.
They're incredible to watch. And I
Mhm.
mean, and it's just ever so subtle, like, but he is
Yes.
like a hawk, like watching every single little thing. He's
Yes.
amazing. He's
Yeah.
truly amazing.
So yes, I would agree. I would agree. But if listeners were like, okay, you're talking about all this body stuff and somatics, like, what does it really mean? Are there simple practices that you could share that someone maybe who is feeling some distress might be able to
Yeah.
experience themselves, Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. One of the very the simple that anybody can do, you and I can do it right now. In fact, we call it a stabilization or grounding exercise.
Yeah, that'd be
And
great.
that is just simply, and anybody can do it in their office or in their home. And it just helps to stabilize the nervous system and let it know that it's in the present moment and not in the past or in the future. And that's
Hmm.
just taking a minute and just notice where the back of your legs are touching the back of your chair or the bottom of your chair.
Hmm.
Notice where your feet are touching the floor.
Hmm.
If you're leaning up against something, notice where the back of the chair or couch is supporting your body right now. And then just take a minute and turn inward and just see if you can notice any sensations in your body. I often have a lot of tingling in my body, but
Yeah, I
even
was
just
gonna
doing
say.
that very simple exercise, I notice a heaviness down in my pelvis area.
Hmm.
And that's a really wonderful way just to simply ground. If
Yeah.
you can't get in touch with the sensations, because sometimes if we get too overwhelmed or if we've had some trauma, we can disassociate from our body.
Sure.
And so, what I would suggest is do those things, but then just take a minute. This is also another one to just allow yourself to come back to the present, is just orient to your space
Yes.
and just look around the room and just allowing your eyes to land on anything that's pleasant.
Mm,
I have a beautiful orchid on my desk that's full of color. And when I just stop it, I'm going to see the yellows, I can see the purple, the white.
mm,
And again, I can just feel a drop in my body. I have a beautiful picture of one of my daughters and her fiance that always brings me joy on my desk. Those things can allow our bodies to bring us back into the present and signal to our nervous system that even though everything else that's going on in the world in this moment, I am here and I'm present and I'm safe,
yes. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And the orienting one I often do in the morning when I
Mm,
wake up, because when you wake up, I mean, your eyes have been closed all night, and I just take like 2 minutes and just orient around my room.
yeah.
And then the other one I will offer is what we call pendulation.
Mm-hmm.
So if when we were doing the stabilization, if you did notice maybe a tightness somewhere, whether it's your chest or your shoulders, or maybe a part of your body that was warmer, just notice that for a
Mm-hmm.
minute or two, and then track it and just kind of track the sensations in your body. And then see if you can move to a place that is the opposite or neutral. So if it's
Mm,
restriction, maybe it's a place in your body that's softer.
okay.
Or if it's warm, go to a place where it's cooler. Often those are more of our extremities, our hands, our feet.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you just pendulate back and forth. Notice the restriction, the
Yeah.
tightness, move to something softer, and notice the warmth, move to something cooler. And if you spend a minute or two in each of those places and do maybe about 3 or 4 rounds of that, your nervous system will regulate. And 99.9% of the time, that restriction, the tense, it will soften.
Mm-hmm.
Again, signaling to your nervous system, it doesn't need to be in whatever threat response it's in this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I love about both, all of the things you've just shared is that in many ways we're really giving our body permission to be where it is and noticing that
Yeah.
while also, I mean, while being present with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just witnessing, observing it,
Yeah.
ideally without any judgment.
Exactly. Just being
And
curious.
right, curiosity. Can you just be curious about what you're experiencing
Mm,
in this moment? Because that, when we can do that, that is showing, not
mhm.
telling our nervous system that we are safe. Because you can tell your nervous system, you can tell yourself to not be anxious, you can tell yourself to not be sensitive, but until
Yes.
you show your body,
Hmm.
not tell it, that's when the real relief we can experience the real relief
Yeah.
and the presence.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just thinking how often I've talked with clients where they're like, yeah, I say these affirmations every day. I'm not going to be anxious. And I was like, how about,
Yeah. How's that working?
right? How about I'm working on being less anxious, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how
Or
can we
I'm
soften?
noticing.
Yes, yes.
I'm noticing that I'm not as anxious today as I was a month ago, a week
Mm,
ago.
exactly,
And
exactly.
on that topic, I lived most of my life with a low level and sometimes heightened level of anxiety and
Me
didn't
too.
even know it
Me too.
until I did this work and
Yeah.
experienced what not feeling anxious actually feels like. It's like, oh my God, this is how people that haven't had trauma and, don't have anxiety must feel on a day-to-day basis. Like,
Oh, I
wow.
know. I know. I know. Oh, gosh. Well, yes, I also have had childhood trauma. So yeah, also lived in a household where feelings weren't talked about. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, um, I think one of the things that has really bloomed, I guess, for me is the recognition, as you said, the anxiety, but also that state of fear of what? I don't know, but just I was walking around scared and anxious
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And we
that's like,
don't have,
oh,
and the
I
beautiful
don't
thing
have
is
to live that
we
way.
don't have to live that way, do we, Biz?
No, we don't. And it's a much calmer and lovelier place to be when we
Yes.
do the work. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So true.
Yeah. Ah, Laurie, this was such a beautiful conversation. I've enjoyed
Yeah.
it so, so much.
I did too. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. And so if listeners wanted to know more about your book, more about you, how would they find you?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So they can find me on my website, laurieejames.com. That's Laurie with two E's for my middle initial, Elizabeth
Mm,
James.com. I'm also on Instagram and which is Laurie.James. And then I also have a podcast as well that talks about all things midlife, but with a somatic lens. It's called Confessions of a Freebird because I
mm,
went from being sandwiched in my book to now becoming a freebird.
nice. Nice. I love that. All right. Well, I hope the listeners will find you and follow your podcast and yeah, check you out on all your platforms.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And if not, I hope your listeners at least took away one little nugget that will help them on their healing journey. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
would also love to hear from anybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Laurie.
Thank you.
I really, really enjoyed that conversation with Laurie. And when she led us through that practice of really grounding and tuning into your body and where it was uh, touching the seat and the floor, I had my eyes closed. Um, and I could just feel myself. I took a deep breath, my shoulders dropped. In that I don't know, I don't even think it was a minute long practice of just reconnecting with my body here in the present moment. And I think that's what I love about meditation. For me, it provides me with that invitation each day to be with my body, to be quiet, to pause, and to notice what's going on inside. And I think that's what's beautiful about working with a somatic practitioner, bringing body into any healing, which is important for the work that I do with my clients, is helping them attune to their body and their sensations within their body when big feelings are coming up or when we are doing the work. And so I just appreciated Laurie's gentleness and calmness and her spirit of curiosity and care and compassion. Mm. Well, I hope that you received some goodness from this conversation as well. We all deserve to feel uh, rested. We all deserve to feel safe in our lives. We all deserve to feel safe in our bodies. Well, again, if you're interested in gathering with other highly sensitive women, if this speaks to you, come hang out with us. Come to one of our circle gatherings that happen every month. You can go to my website to find out more, elizabethcush.com. I also hope you'll check out Laurie and her resources, which you will find more about those in the show notes. Take care of yourselves. Be good to your bodies. I look forward to connecting with you here again on the podcast.